All right, welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to be talking specifically about how us wedding videographers or videographers in general can better work with DJs or sound people, sound mixers, designers, audio experts. One of my weaknesses with filming weddings is knowing how to use audio equipment. We have Kayla here with us as well, another wedding expert who's going to be asking questions with me. We are very, I'd say, naive. You're kind of the same boat I am.
Yeah. She's more pro than you.
We'll be asking Brendan tons of questions about how to use audio. And Brendan has his own course that you've probably seen. It's the Filmmaker's Guide to Audio. Everything you need to know, everything we're gonna be talking about, plus 1,000 more things is in his course that if you don't know anything about audio, editing audio, recording audio,
cleaning audio,
take his course, life changer. So basically what we're gonna be doing is walking you through the recorders that I have found to be the best, easiest, and then what cables you'll need for different situations, and then Brendan will kind of walk us through, how to communicate with the DJ settings and how to plug it in effectively. So here we have two of the Zoom H1s. This is the newer one. This is the Zoom H1N, and the reason I love the Zoom H1N is one, it's very small, and it records auto levels so that it'll never peak, it'll never get too low, it'll adjust to whoever's speaking into it.
It's a real set it and forget it. You plug it in, you push record, and it will, you don't have to worry about the knobs and be like, oh, is it gonna be super loud or whatever?
And there's only one place to plug in a cable. It's a 1/8 inch jack, but you can get adapters and make this work.
But you have to make sure that you put it on auto.
Yes.
In there.
Yes.
Well, here's a tip that's gonna blow your mind with it. Testing it to make sure it works the night before the wedding.
You're kidding.
It's mind-blowing information. And for $100, I mean, it's kind of a foolproof. It's easy to get into. You don't have to, break the bank to get it.
And I just bought the Zoom H4n Pro, which is different than the H4n regular, because the Zoom H4n Pro also has auto levels where it will adjust according to who's speaking, which is the reason I bought it. About $250 on Amazon. And this one has...
So these are combo jacks. Okay. So the advantage to having the H4n Pro or H4n for that matter over the H1 is you have combo jack. So that means you can basically plug in the XLR, which is like a mic cable that's 3-pin, and that just goes right in. But you can also plug in a 1/4 inch to that exact same jack. Whereas with this one, it's just the 1/8 inch or 3.5 millimeter. That's the only input. So you would have to get adapters to plug into that.
So for an extra $100, what are you saying the pros are?
Well, let me just rub this on the table more. So for an extra $100, I think it's worth it personally simply because you get 2 channels, which means you can use this for interviews if you have multiple people, or if you want to do like a boom and a lav on an interview. The preamps on this are going to be way better than this. The preamps on the H4n Pro are actually the same in the H6, whereas in the H4n they're not.
Quick definition, what is a preamp?
Preamp is basically the thing that captures the audio. So if you have a crappy preamp or dirty preamp, it'll be kind of like a really bad lens where it just kind of is, smudgy and it doesn't look great. Cool. Whereas the preamp that's nice is like a nice lens where it looks just super clean and clear without putting in extra work.
Good to know. So $100 about, and then about 220. 220.
And then this guy is the H6. So this is the step up from the H4n. In the H4n Pro, like I said, it has the exact same preamps, but this one has 4 inputs. It also has these flywheels that I love. I think these are so good if you're doing, like an interview or something. It's super easy to dial in a sound. Con, for a wedding, it doesn't have the auto gain like the H4n or the H1. So you would have to test levels, set them accordingly, and then hit record.
And probably have somebody listening to it throughout.
It's an ideal thing, yeah.
Okay. Nice. And how much is this?
This guy's $400.
Okay, so
double the tracks for, I guess, double the price.
Better.
Yeah.
As a wedding videographer, I feel like we want the thing that is the most reliable, that requires the least amount of maintenance. Yeah. And so I'm knowing that I can just plug that in and walk away from it and it'll auto adjust. For me as a filmmaker, shooting weddings is a stress reliever.
Yeah, it's easy.
Okay, and then this last one we have the Tascam DR10Ls for lav mics. We won't talk about that a whole lot. We have a whole nother video about that. But recently I just booked a small wedding in Michigan, and it's going to be in the woods, and there's no DJ, there's no sound system, but they are going to be doing a lot of speeches that they want recorded. This is the Tascam DR10X, which plugs into a microphone here. And you just pass this around, hit record, and it auto-adjusts the same way the Tascam DR10L does. And then you just pass this around and talk, and it records beautifully. And that's like if they don't have a DJ at all.
Yep. So you can use this with any mic,
Right.
is the advantage to that, any dynamic mic. So
And this was about 175 bucks. This is the EV version. This is about
95.
95 bucks.
yep.
So that's a $300 setup. But
This one's only 100 bucks. This is the Shure SM58. This is, you know, you've seen this everywhere. It's been around forever. It's same exact thing. You just plug it in here and it works.
so
You
that's
can
a
use it.
$200 combo.
Yeah. And then you want to make sure you get a little wind cover, especially if you're going to do stuff in the woods. But
And yeah, this doesn't amplify. This is just to record
yeah.
speeches and audio.
Yeah. And all of these things you will need to sync with your camera in post. It's
Right.
not going to magically sync to your camera just because you
Yeah,
push
so far
record.
we haven't talked about any wireless.
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay, so next thing, the reason I have so many cables here, and I was talking to Brenda earlier about this, is you'll never know what kind of situation you run into. Every wedding and every DJ will have probably a slightly different board or equipment than you're used to, and so you'll never know what adapters and what cables you'll need to plug in what you have with what he has. And like I've said before, I've had so many experiences where I didn't have the cables I needed to plug into their equipment. So I went out and I bought all these cables. We got probably 8 or 10 cables here, and all the cables cost me 30 bucks, maybe, if that.
30 bucks. You guys, if you mess up a wedding vow because you didn't want to spend $30, spend the $30. It's that simple. Is a Google review of this guy is the biggest idiot, he didn't record my wedding, worth $30?
Will you use these cables every time?
Most
No.
likely you would use like 2 of these.
Well, they
Most
probably
likely.
collect dust, yeah.
Yeah, and that's fine because I was telling Jake, he said, are there any, it was right before we shot the video. He said, are there any cables that you probably wouldn't use? I said, oh, I probably wouldn't use this one most likely. He said, oh, I just used that one.
Yeah.
So go figure.
And I probably won't use this one for another few years, but
Sure.
then maybe one wedding will come up and they're like, oh, I need this jack. I'm like, got the cable for it.
Yeah.
I have links to all these in my kit, links below. Invest in these just in case.
Yeah.
I've definitely run into that a bunch of times. I'll go to a different wedding and I'll be like, hey, I have this cord and this cord. They're like, oh, but we need this one. I'm like, oh, I don't have that. So then I go home and buy it, and the next wedding it's like, I'm like, oh, okay, I got this new one. They're like, okay, but I need that one. I'm like, oh my gosh. So I definitely agree. You need
Easier.
all of these.
And it's just, you can buy 1,000 lav mics and hook them up to every single person giving a speech, but it's just easier to me, time is money, to buy the cables, buy the recorders,
Right.
learn how to use this, which we're getting into next, learn how to communicate with the DJ, and it will save you so much time, stress, and money.
And people are always like, well, I want the cheapest, best solution. This is it.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on, we have this, I would call this kind of like an average soundboard. This is the
Yeah.
soundboard I feel like I see the most at my weddings.
really?
Especially, well, not like the exact
Yeah,
model,
yeah,
but just kind of like this
Is it gray?
interface. Usually it's gray or blue.
Okay. Oh, black ones, yeah.
Because I've gone to weddings where I'm like, okay, these are the cables, like you said, you show up with this. You're like, okay, like, what do I do? Sometimes the DJ doesn't even know what to do. So it's so frustrating because I don't know and they don't know. So it's just like, okay, well, I guess we'll just plug it in. And then he acts like he knows and he plugs it in. And I'm like, okay, and then it doesn't work. So just make sure you know what's going on, because I've had that plenty of times.
Yeah. So the biggest thing you can do, there's 2 tips that I always tell people. Number 1, hopefully it's obvious, is show up early, but also act confident. Because whether I'm inexperienced or experienced with audio, if someone comes in and they're like, hey, I'm going to plug into your thing, it's like, hold on. Like, imagine if you're shooting a video and it's like, hey, I'm the photographer. I'm going to get in your lens bag.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to grab a couple lenses. Cool. And you're like, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're like, hey, I forgot this lens. Can I please use it? It's like, oh, they know what they're doing, right? So with this kind of a thing, you want to make sure that it's like, hey, I'm going to tap into your soundboard. I'm going to try and record the speeches and whatever is being spoken into the mic. I'm going to come out of the aux send, so I will need a send from your board to do that. And if they're like, then you can be like, it's fine. I watched this video in Wedding Video Pro, so I'm going to show you how to do it, right? So it's being confident, and then all of a sudden the DJ is like, okay, that's fine. Because once we get into this part, that's going to be where the DJs start to get a lot more panicking because it's like, whoa, don't touch my stuff, don't tap into my things. So show up early and be confident.
Show up early, big one. So let's just jump in. Let's just start with the cheapest one, the Zoom H1N. Let's say this is a ceremony or reception, speeches. They have a wireless mic system plugged into your system. What would you want us as videographers with this? What cord would we want to use? What would be the best cord on this layout? And what are some things we want to tell you to do on your board, if anything?
First thing to do is you're going to say, whoa, mine doesn't look like that. No, there's thousands of these, thousands. Like if you do a Google search for an audio mixer, you're going to see thousands and they won't all look the same at all. So number one, you want to look for an aux send. That's basically a separate thing, completely different than you're going to be hearing in the house speakers that the DJ can send to you personally, right? Almost always that aux send is going to be a 1/4 inch. So if you have a H1, you'll need your 1/8 inch, which you plug into your mic in, right? To 1/4 inch, that's the bigger one. So like oftentimes this is like a headphone or your phone, and then this is like a guitar cable or an instrument cable, okay? And you'll want to do TRS when you order them. That's the 3 or the 2 bands, okay? So that's a balanced cable. So you just plug that into your aux send, and then if you're using the H1, you set your auto levels and hit record. You do that, okay? And then what you're going to want to do is have the microphone that they're going to be using for the event. So you can test it and make sure that you're actually getting the send. Get there early, do some tests, be confident and say, hey, DJ, I've got this 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch cable. I'm going to plug in your aux send and I'm going to just do some tests. Is that cool with you? And usually it's like, sure. So what you want to do, and again, not every board may have this layout and that's okay, but you want to make sure that he sends the dialogue or whatever mics they're going to be using. So say, you know, the ceremony is using these 2 mics and they're coming out of channels 3 and 4. So have on the aux send him send you some feed into here and then test 1, 2, hello, hello, right? It'll start recording you hopefully in here. Now if you do a pre-fader send, basically what that means is if he turns this up or down, which what this is controlling is the house mix. So, you know, you're at the party, people are talking, there's music playing, but maybe he only wants the music playing because father-in-law is, you know, drunk and he's telling some weird story, so the DJ's like, oh, we don't want to hear that. So whether or not he turns this down, you will still be picking it up if you have that pre-fader on.
Got it. Good to know.
Right? And so you want to make sure that pre is on, that way he's not affecting your mix.
No,
So this affects basically the volume of what is being blasted out to the audience, into the house.
But you don't want that because you already set your settings.
Right, but he's saying even if he turns the volume all the way down, it'll still record
on here
normally, and it'll still sound good.
Yeah, because it's not.
Yep.
You're not doing that.
It's
So
unrelated
he's not
to what the
controlling.
DJs are.
He's not controlling our Zoom.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yes. Whereas if you're coming out of the headphone out or the line out, this would affect that.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's why it's important. First, I always recommend to look for an aux, and then he can send you that channel. One thing that I highly recommend is don't send the music, because a lot of times people will play music over speaking that is important, whether it's vows or it's toast or whatever. Like if you don't send the music, you'll get a super clean signal. In order of preference, it would be like aux out.
Okay. Aux out, preferable.
Tape out.
Tape out.
Line out, and then like a headphone out. Okay. Unless the DJ is not using headphones.
This is tape out? Mm-hmm. And what cord would you want for that one?
So that one is an RCA.
Okay.
So these are like on, you know, like Nintendo 64 or whatever. Like you plug those into your TV. You just match the colors. Red is right, white is left.
And just plugs it into this.
And so yeah, this is an RCA.
And make sure it's in the out.
Yeah, in the out, yes.
Always make sure it's out.
If you go in, you will hear nothing.
Right.
Yes.
Always
You want
out.
out of the board.
Out of the board, always, always, always out of the board. Ta-da! Yay! We're in!
So for tape out, you want RCA cord?
On this board, yeah.
Okay.
Usually tape out is an RCA.
And what was the third option?
Line out,
That's
Just
the third option.
line out would be on the back.
Okay, yeah. I've
Usually.
seen DJs do that.
Same as
Yeah.
same 1/8 or
Yeah, so on this one, it's XLR or 1/4 inch, right? So that would be either this guy going in here or this guy going in here. But oftentimes he'll have at least one of these taken up with his
Right.
speakers.
That's what has happened. He's like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't plug you in because
Yeah.
my speakers, and I'm like, okay, well, what
Right.
else can you do?
But
Yeah.
if you have 4 different chords, you should be able.
Oh, if you have 4 different chords and the DJ says you still can't tap in, he's an idiot. The aux send, you can set and control it, right? Pre-fader, the aux send. Anything else, tape out, line out, headphone out, it's kind of in the hands of the DJ. The safest bet is the aux, yep. So just to recap, the first thing I would do is look for an aux send. Right now we're using channel 1 aux, and we're going to pretend that the mics are in channels 3 and 4. So we want to send our things to there on a pre-fader, okay? Again, that's whatever he adjusts here, it won't affect the volume of our feed, right? So to do that, we want to go into this aux sends port. So if we're using the H6, we'll just take a 1/4 inch, that's like an instrument cable, okay, and make sure it's a TRS, not a TS, because that's balanced. We just go in, boom, adjust our level, it's good. You're thinking, well, what if I have an H4n? You take a 1/4 inch, you plug it in the combo jack, boom. Now what if I have this? Where do I plug this in here? Does it go into here? Nope. You swap cables and
Good
you
thing
get
we have another cable.
this guy. Does that go in there? Nope. If it slides in nice and it's nice and firm, it goes in there. 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch or 3.5. You go in your line in, set auto, listen with your headphones. Does it sound good? Great, we're in business. Look at that. You guys, in seconds, we just hooked up 3 different things. Now, what if you have your tape out or your aux send is RCA? Go RCA out, same thing. Red into red, white into white. Here, we've got an 1/8 inch at the end of our RCA cable. Line in, you guys. Does that look like it fits to you? Does it slide around? Does it come out easy? Yes.
How much
Answer,
are these?
These are like 80 cents. Okay, get like 10 of them just to have them. Plug it in, hook it up, ta-da, it's in. What about the H6? Well, it's Zoom and it uses the combo jack, ta-da, you're in. Now, all right, our last option is the female XLR out. So here we have an XLR female in, nice and snug. If I pull on that, it's not gonna come out. That's a locking nut. First thing we're gonna hook up, the H1. That goes line in, 1/8 inch. You guys, it's a beautiful thing. You test the audio, it works. H4n, you get our trusty 3.5 1/4 inch adapter. You go in channel 1 this time. It's gonna change everything. It's a game changer. We're gonna go in here. It's that simple. Where's my mic? So that covers the board.
And just because you know how to use all this at a ceremony or a reception doesn't mean you can't lav as well as a backup. Even if I can't plug into the DJ's system during a ceremony, I will still always lav the bride, the groom, and the officiant. Just because. Do you have to lav everyone giving a speech during the ceremony or the reception? Up to you. It's a hassle. I
I
wouldn't.
think it's too much work.
That's why it's good to know and trust this as well. So that's it for the soundboard. We're gonna move on to the Lexicon. This is an audio interface.
So basically what this is this is a device that communicates between outside audio, whether it be an instrument or a microphone, and your computer. So these are usually hooked up by USB. Oftentimes at weddings, you're gonna find the Focusrite Scarlett, which is a little red box. We'll have a picture on the screen, or a PreSonus Audio Box 2 or whatever it's called. So they're all basically the exact same function, especially these cheaper ones. And oftentimes at weddings, they'll have like the $100 sub $100 range, which is going to give you a headphone out and a one out. Usually the out on the back is going to go to the house speakers, right? And hopefully it'll have the headphone out. So how do you tap into a system that's just using this?
And guys, I'll run into this not every time, but pretty frequently. Enough where I need to learn how to use it.
Well, and especially because they're cheaper and people are cheaper and they want to cut costs at weddings. They're going to have a friend. He's going to have one of these because he makes music and he knows audio, how everyone else does. He'll bring his thing.
And a lot of receptions, a lot of venues are doing more than just weddings, and they don't have like an in-house DJ, but they usually have a system for wireless mics to plug into the house speakers. And if that's all you got, Brenda's gonna teach us how to plug into it.
Yep. So again, just like the mixers, these are gonna look different, but the concepts will still apply. So the first thing that we're gonna do is try and find a headphone out. Oftentimes on the cheaper interfaces, it's going to be the 1/8 inch out, 3.5 out. So you guys, this is gonna blow your mind. It's so different from the board, it's gonna hurt. 3.5 out, We're going to go 1/4 inch in. We plug into the H4.
Clicked.
Clicked in. Guess what? You test levels, you listen, and you're good. Okay? Make sure.
Even though it's not an out like this, you can still use the headphone jack to
Yes.
record audio.
So again, just like if we're doing line out on here, you're going to get the music, you're going to get all that other
Everything
stuff.
playing on
Yeah.
the house speakers.
So the most ideal is an aux send on your board.
Right.
If they just have this, you can't do anything else. So yeah, the first thing I would do is headphone. Oftentimes they'll have a certain headphone volume knob on the front. So adjust the volume, adjust your device volume, and make sure that your levels are good, right? So here's the other option. What if you only have a 1/4 inch, which I hope you don't. I hope you have all these adapters. How do you plug in if there's just the 1/8 inch? Well, that's when you would need the adapter.
So this is a 1/4 inch to 1/8 inch.
This is a 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch. Usually it's referred to what the termination is to here. So 1/8 inch to 1/4 inch. Ta-da, plug that in, boom, you're in.
Okay. How much was this? Can
Dude,
I guess? 60 cents.
Oh no, 35. Last thing to cover. If you don't have a headphone out or he's already using it, the next part you can do, this applies to either the front or the back, is you can tap out of the headphone or the line out via a splitter. I don't
Because they
recommend
might
this.
be using.
Yeah, so most likely what they're going to be doing, it's going to look something like this, right? And if the DJ for his own personal monitoring is coming out of the headphones, then you're going to have a thing that looks like this. And what this means is all of your out points are taken up, and that really sucks for you, right? So how do you fix this situation? Now we want to tap into this. So if we come in and we take this port, now all of a sudden he's only getting one feed and he's going to be really pissed off.
Right.
So what we do is we get a split out, right? So here we go. We're going 1/4 inch because now we've adapted. Adapter, yay, out, right? Then we have these RCAs. Now we have these RCAs that are 1/4 inch to RCA adapters, okay? So now we've turned our RCAs into this point. Now you may be thinking, couldn't I just buy a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch split? Yes, you can. So here's what you do. You send one feed to your device, and now the other one, you can get this adapter, which is a 1/4 inch to 1/4 inch female, because this is the male. The part with the pointy thing is the male. The part that receives the thing is the female. So then what you do is you send his, remember this is our house mix, now you have this. Everybody wins, he gets a feed, you get a feed.
Right. And he
I
won't be
know
mad.
it's, yeah, you'll hear it. It's really, you might be like, holy crap, there's so much to wrap my head around. It is kind of a lot of stuff,
Sure.
but you got to do what you got to do. And then if you want to do it out of the headphone the exact same way, same thing applies.
Same thing.
Same thing.
So
It's
the
crazy.
basic principle is find a jack that plugs into headphone or
The line out.
line out and get a splitter so that you and the DJ or person using the audio can both have access to it.
Yep.
You can record, they can listen, or
Yeah.
use the speakers.
Uh-huh.
Easy.
Yeah, so like, what is your job to find that, to hook into this? Just look for the outs. Because if you go in, that means you're sending audio into this, and that won't do anything. It'll just be quiet.
Okay.
You'll
So
definitely
learn
run
that.
into it.
Yeah.
So definitely learn that.
Yeah.
Because you're going to run into it.
Most venues will have one of these already, and if there's not a DJ present, they'll just rely on this for the speeches and
If they have like music playing from that, what?
It's you're gonna hear it no matter what.
But do they connect to this for their music?
Yeah.
So it's going to take up one of.
No. Here, let me just take these out really quick. So if you look, oftentimes these will either be a 1 or 2 channel. So all of these are ins, kind of like these on this board, or these. These are all ins. So you would have your mic or whatever. If they're playing from a laptop, which if they're using this, they're probably using a laptop, the audio is transferred over the USB.
Okay, so we don't have to.
Yeah.
But I know everyone's asking, we'll just recap real quick.
Yeah.
For the easiest, best, cheapest way, that's I know what all of you want. You can get a Zoom H1N, records auto levels. Every single cord and adapter and splitter we have used today for probably $140 total. $140. I hate audio. It's a hard thing to learn. it's because you can't see it visually, but the way Brendan explains it and talking about like cameras and lenses, it's the same principle.
Yeah.
Get the gear that gets the right jobs done and make sure you know how to use it and where to plug it into, and you don't have any problems.
Yeah. Well, and just like lenses, you can spend $5,000 on a lens, you could spend $5,000 on a mic, but it's not gonna like make you a better filmmaker, you know. But audio is a really boring thing, as you can tell from this entire video. It's not fun, but it needs to be figured out. You need to wrap your head around these things.
Okay, so guys, that is everything that you should need to know about working with DJs at weddings. Again, be personable, be very confident, approach them with the mentality of working together. And I love how Brendan explained it. Imagine if someone came up to you and your equipment and your life's work and just started messing with it. It's very disrespectful. This is their job. They're being paid by your clients to do their job. Approach them with respect and don't hover over them, but work together, know what you're doing, be confident, get the right cables, the right gear you need, and it will greatly up the production value of your films. If you want to learn a lot more about cleaning audio, editing audio, recording audio, everything you need to know about audio for your wedding films, for your interviews, for whatever, I would highly recommend investing in Brendan's course. And if you use the link below, you can get it for 25% off. Has an online community just like we do, has everything you need to know. You can ask him questions whenever you need to. He's an expert, been doing this for years. So seriously, if you want to take your business to the next level, invest in.
We've got a lot of people that have they charge a lot more because they can. I've taught people how to clean audio, so then they can even get cleaning jobs, not even related to their own films, but other people's, And our community has both filmmakers and audio people.
Tons.
So you get the best of both worlds.
It's amazing. If you want like an audio mentor, this is the place to go. And if something wasn't answered or you have questions about other equipment, the principles apply to any equipment you have, but we're happy to answer those questions you have. So you can email us with your questions, but if you have any other questions, let us know. That's it. No punches. I hate the punches. Done.